Why can the respiratory symptoms of COVID-19, like ARDS, shortness of breath, and low blood oxygen levels be so severe? Well, we have to start in the alveoli, the grape-like structures in the lungs that facilitate gas exchange between the alveolar cells called type 1 pneumocytes and the lung capillary walls. There are also alveolar cells called type 2 pneumocytes that release the molecule surfactant in order to reduce surface tension in the alveoli. But what is surface tension? It's basically the cohesive force of hydrogen bonds that attract water molecules to one another in order to create the smallest surface area possible. This attraction generates an inner force that opposes the outward force of hydrophobic gas in the alveoli. And if the surface tension increases, then it can overpower the outward force of hydrophobic gas in the alveoli, which could cause gas to be pushed out of the alveoli and shrink the alveoli. Now, based on Laplace's law, which applies to the spherical nature of the alveoli, the collapsing pressure of the alveoli is directly proportional to the surface tension of water. If the surface tension increases, then the collapsing pressure will increase, which means that the alveoli could collapse. This is why surfactant, the molecule with hydrophobic tails and hydrophilic heads, is so important in reducing surface tension in the alveoli. The hydrophilic heads in the surfactant molecule form weaker bonds with the surface water molecules than the hydrogen bonds that water molecules form to each other. This weakens the surface tension, which means, according to Laplace's law, that the collapsing pressure of the alveoli is going to decrease as well. And this prevents the alveoli from collapse. Unfortunately, the type 2 pneumocytes have an ACE2 receptor, which the S spike protein on the SARS-CoV-2 virus can bind to and enter the cell in order to replicate. And this replication damages the type 2 pneumocyte, which, in response, the type 2 pneumocyte sends out inflammatory mediators that signal nearby macrophages to release a cytokine storm, in which an excessive number of cytokines enter the bloodstream and cause the blood vessel walls to widen and releases fluid into the lungs, and all this fluid buildup in the alveoli interferes with surfactant. And as we discussed before, surfactant decreases surface tension in the alveoli. Therefore, in conjunction with all this fluid buildup, fluid which is mostly composed of water, increases surface tension to the point where the alveoli could collapse. All this fluid buildup in the alveoli makes the alveolar membrane thicker, and the thicker the alveolar membrane, the less effective the gas exchange. It's like you trying to cross through a large crowd of people. Ultimately, this could lead to hypoxemia or oxygen deficiency in the blood. Now, these aren't all the symptoms of COVID-19, but as more research comes out, all we can do is just be safe.